What's happening, YouTube? Jonathan Pariente, the Education 10 here, coming at you guys with another video. I want to ask you guys to please continue to check and subscribe to my channel for more YouTube videos. And the baseball season is slowly but surely getting underway soon. Pitchers and catchers have reported, as of yesterday for the first time, spring training is a couple weeks away. The regular season is about a month away. And a lot of things happened this offseason. Some big signings, some big managerial changes, some little shakeups. But the big one in particular, obviously, and it's still going on to this day, is the Houston Astros and their sign-stealing, cheating scandal from the 2017 World Series. Now, I did a video a while back where I vented and gave you my thoughts on what I thought of the whole thing when I first found out about the Astros cheating and how they were doing it via trash banging and using cameras and spying on teams behind their back. And now, slowly, players are now coming forward and showing remorse and apologizing. And to be very honest with you, well, to me it's total BS. Total BS. Today, Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve have shown their apologies and remorse. Marwin Gonzalez, a couple years ago, from the title game from the championship Astros a few years ago, the other day, also showed remorse for his actions. Fine. Dallas Keuchel already did this earlier in the offseason. Charlie Morton a few days ago also showed his remorse, saying he wished he could have done more. A.J. Hinch, about a month or so after being fired, was interviewed by Tom Verducci, and he shared his reaction and his thoughts on how he could have handled the cheating. But obviously the bigger news that came out of all this sign stealing, and this is the biggest one, I saw it in the news yesterday, it's Carlos Beltran. It's bad enough that the Mets not only fired him, and obviously they needed to, because this was going to be out of control if he had been managing this year. But now his whole legacy is in jeopardy as well. It's been revealed that Carlos Beltran was one of the central figures of the sign stealing. Does it mean he was the central figure behind the trash banging? We couldn't say. But everyone was doing it. All the players that played on that championship team were doing it. And then the fact that you have other players from the team that are coming out and kind of sharing this view as well. One of them is Brian McCann, who played on that 2017 team, and as a veteran catcher in his own right, he even said he tried to stop Beltran from doing the sign stealing. He didn't want to do it. I'm going to see if I can pull up that article very quick, but it's very important that this came out from Brian McCann, because obviously this is a guy that is a very well-respected catcher, a very well-respected veteran in the clubhouse behind the plate. And here is what he had to say, and basically, plain and simple, he asked Houston to stop doing the sign stealing. This is from McCann. And the fact that that was overruled and that Beltran was just able to basically do whatever he wanted, even management didn't stop him, ownership didn't stop him. Something really, really rotten happened in that Houston clubhouse in 2017 that's only now beginning to bubble up to the surface. And we're going to hear a lot more of this as we go. And I've already said for the beginning of the year that Houston is going to get basically lambasted and booed at every road game they play for the rest of this year. What came out of this, obviously, was Houston lost the respect of Major League Baseball and their fellow comrades that play the game with them. They lost the respect of the fans. And they've really lost the respect of the entire, just the entire view of how kids and people were supposed to view them. Everybody looked at these Astros like heroes. Altuve, being one of the smallest guys in baseball, was looked up to like a hero to kids. Always looked at as a guy that played the game the right way. Same for Alex Bregman. Obviously, Carlos Beltran. And now you can't look at them in that same light anymore. It's one thing to be a hero and to do things the right way. It's another thing to become a villain and cheat and lie and cheat and steal. Reference to late Eddie Guerrero there. So, as I'm saying it again, this is only the beginning of what else could come out of this entire cheating scandal. And, you know, as we look back at Beltran right now, and let's not forget, Beltran was on the Yankees. He played for them. And more importantly, he was in an advisory role with the Yankees before he had moved on this past year to take the job with the Mets, and then obviously now got fired. Brian Cashman must have known something, or he would not have let Beltran go and would not have decided to just let him walk and go somewhere else. He also might have known quietly that Beltran was in trouble for something. Who knows? But, you know, reading this article now via Sports Illustrated here, and Carlos Beltran, they said he played a godfather role in the sign stealing. So that's an even bigger one. A godfather role means he probably was the brain behind all of it. And when I'm going to continue reading this article a bit now, and it's very important, guys, that you take a listen to this. In a new report, this is from Ken Rosenthal, very well-respected baseball analyst and writer, and Evan Drellich. Some members of the Astros, quote, felt powerless to stop Beltran. Beltran reportedly did not take well to players approaching him about the operation. So, just listen to that for a minute. Just listen to that for a minute. Players felt their hands were tied and they couldn't tell Beltran to stop. And the fact that management couldn't stop him means Beltran had some kind of pull down there with Houston. Like, it's kind of like when you kind of give somebody a job, maybe that they're not qualified yet to do the job, and they kind of assume that power and let it go to their head. Basically, I think they gave Beltran a little too much power a little too soon. As a veteran, you're supposed to mentor the young players and basically bring out a little culture in that clubhouse to help develop these players into the proper leaders that they'll one day become. But when you hear that Beltran did not like when people approached him about the operation, that he was trying to cover this up, I get a feeling Beltran in particular is going to get a far more harsher sentence down the road than just not being allowed to manage this year and just being fired. I think, and this is going to be very, very hard for a lot of people to swallow, hard for me to swallow, Beltran was an ex-Yankee, hard for Met fans to swallow, Beltran was a great figure on the Mets, and obviously for Houston, being that he was there for Houston's world title. I think that Rob Manfred needs to pull a Kennesaw Mountain Landis and suspend Carlos Beltran from Major League Baseball for life. I'm sorry. But the fact that this was allowed to go on and that Beltran didn't want anybody to know about it, he didn't want it to come out, and he didn't want people approaching him about it, It really tells you. Where was the leadership in the organization for the Houston Astros? Where was leadership? Where was somebody to come forward and trying to stop what was going on? And it's not just Beltran. The fact that other players went along with this. You figure, when Beltran came into that clubhouse in Houston, obviously I get that he's a 20-year veteran. I got that. But before he got there, Bregman, Altuve, Springer, Keuchel, these guys had all been with Houston for about 3 or 4 years. Up until Beltran got there. So where was their leadership? Where was them coming forward and maybe saying to Carlos, hold up a second. We don't play the game like that. We want to win games, but we're not going to do it like this. Instead, they gave in. They gave in. And he got the whole Houston team to buy in. And at the end of the day now, as more of this is coming forward, and again, I'm gonna read some more from this article because more came. Again, there's just Beltran being the ringleader of this whole thing. Players described Beltran to The Athletic as El Jefe, the godfather, the king, the alpha male in the building. And basically, one of the team members also regardedly saying, in quote, he disregarded it and steamrolled everybody. Where do you go if you're a young, impressionable player at the Astros and this guy says, we're doing this, what do you do? So it's very clear Houston had a clear leadership problem in 2017, and they were just on board with everything Beltran did. If this is not an indicator that Beltran needs to be suspended for life, I don't know what is. I don't know. And I'm telling you guys, as more of this scandal comes out, and as more clues begin to come out from this 2017 season, it's not just the players that got screwed out of this title for Houston. Everybody else that played in that 2017 season has all seen their lives change tremendously. You have Mike Bolsinger trying to sue Houston because of the sign stealing and how it cost him being in the majors, and he got sent to the minors, and he never got back to the majors again because of it. Then you look at players like Yu Darvish, who were on the Dodgers that year, had a terrible World Series because of the sign stealing, and now he's out of a job in there, and he's pitching in Chicago now and wherever. And now when you hear him saying, this affected the money I was making, this affected my future. And then you look at, obviously, the Dodgers and the Yankees, who could have played in the World Series. Well, the Dodgers did, but Dodgers who could have won the World Series if this hadn't happened. The Yankees who could have been in the World Series had not happened. Houston needs to learn, and there are going to be repercussions, I hope, handed down to them for the actions that they've done. Obviously, they've lost the respect of baseball, as I've already said. They've lost the fans. Any little ounce of respect that people had for Houston is gone. So the only way Houston will ever regain the respect of these people again is if they win a World Series the right way, without sign stealing, without cheating, without trash banging, without cameras, everything. I'm going to have another video soon detailing the Yankees, obviously, for their coming 2020 season, and give a little synopsis of some of the other moves that went on around the league this offseason and what teams could have a good year in 2020. I'll do that in a later video, in another video to come. But right now, Houston we have a problem. And it's a big problem that the Astros are going to have to live with for a very long time. Jonathan Pariente, The Education 10, saying bye for now.